So page 472 is kind of interesting because Obama is trying to get the UN to take actions against Iran for their nuclear program, and Obama just received this highly classified, important intelligence report on Iran's nuclear program, that they're building a facility near the ancient city of Qom, and he's like, "Oh, this is a bombshell. I need to tell the other people at the UN so that they can increase the sanctions." So the first thing he does is he tells the Russians, and without going on too much of a tangent, I'd like people to think about what the reaction from, let's say, MSNBC would be if it was found out that, Trump was leaking highly classified information to the Russians. It would be very different than this reaction, which was no reaction at all, or just applause from the media, because they like Obama, and B, because in this instance the leaks were to the benefit of U.S. power, and I'll talk more about that in a second. So he tells the Russians, he's like, okay, we need to increase the sanctions, and then he's like, instead we gave the story to the New York Times just before the G20 leaders were scheduled to meet in Pittsburgh. So next thing he does is he leaks this highly classified information to the New York Times, and he writes about it in his biography here, and there's no comment on it. There's no comment from anybody on it, even though the Obama administration itself prosecuted more whistleblowers for leaking classified information than any president in history. And actually more people were prosecuted under the Espionage Act under Obama for leaks of classified information than every other president combined. And this is the same person that is ordering leaks of highly classified information. Now, the difference between let's say a Chelsea Manning, who was prosecuted and imprisoned for years and years and put in solitary confinement under Obama for leaking information to WikiLeaks about war crimes, was that the crimes that Manning leaked were not helpful for the government and not helpful for power. So it's not helpful to know that the U.S. is, shooting down journalists, Reuters journalists and civilians from a Black Hawk helicopter in Iraq. That doesn't really help the administration. Now, this does help the administration because it helps increase tensions with Iran and garner support for the sanctions which Obama is trying to press for. And so in this case, there's no comment at all. And then the other difference or distinction is also obvious, which is that the Obama's the president. So he is the person in power. Who's going to hold him into account? Who's going to take on the president? Nobody's going to take on the president. Now, if it's Chelsea Manning, if it's, Bill Binney, if it's, any of these other leakers that leak information which is unhelpful for the president, you can throw them in prison and there won't hardly be any outcry at all from the press. But in this case, classified information, and also Washington leaks like a sieve. Like, there are leaks all the time. In fact, whenever you read the New York Times or the Washington Post and it says, a senior administration official said, or something like that, most of the time that's classified information, and it's just fine because the Post, like that, those people are insiders. The reporters who reported on that are insiders. The administration officials are insiders, so it's totally fine, and there's going to be no prosecution. If it's let's say Julian Assange or somebody else that's leaking to directly to the public, they're outsiders. They have to be prosecuted. They're not being helpful at the moment, and so the Obama administration leaks all the time. Later he's going to talk about the raid on Osama bin Laden. Pretty much all the information, that was a really classified raid, but all of the information about that raid was like leaked immediately. Like the name of the special dog that was on the helicopter, like all the details of the mission, highly classified information immediately leaked to the press because it was helpful. It was like this is helpful American-y information. People want to know about the Tom Clancy novel that Obama just pulled off, which increased his approval ratings by like 8% overnight. That's good information to leak. So page 473, Obama has an anecdote about how just over the top the Chinese are with their spying of U.S. officials at these international gatherings. And so he says, occasionally the brazenness of Chinese intelligence verged on comedy. And then he goes on to tell a story about how one U.S. official left his motel room and then came back, and there was like Chinese officials with a maid spying through or going through his diplomatic papers. And Obama kind of just shrugs that off, and he's like, yeah, we have to do business with them. This is just how it is. It's kind of funny because the Obama administration literally got caught tapping the phones of Angela Merkel as well as other world leaders. That was one of the revelations of the Snowden leaks, which again is a big contrast to the leaking. Like this is unhelpful leaking that the U.S. is spying on world leaders. Now, if China leaking, like Obama will write about that in his book, but that leaking, that's the type of thing that will get you exiled in Russia for years and years and try to be prosecuted for the rest of your life and thrown in solitary confinement. Not helpful. The type of leaking that he just did one page earlier to the New York Times about the Iran nuclear facility, that's just business as usual. That we can tell the public. But this other stuff that all the shady things that we're doing, that is kind of a thorn in the side, and we're not going to talk about that. We're going to prosecute that.